Welcome back, everyone. I'm excited to jump into a new set of source material with you. If you enjoy these deep dives into all sorts of interesting topics, well, hit that subscribe button so you never miss out. Today, we're going to be looking at a story from CNN. And let me tell you, get those tissues ready. It's a real roller coaster of emotions. We're going to be unpacking the journey of Hannah White, who faced a race against time to see her critically ill mother.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, heavy.
So the story takes place back in October. Hannah receives the dreaded call. Her mom, Kathleen Nelson, is in a North Dakota hospital battling pneumonia and septic shock.
Oh, no.
Yeah. The doctors paint a pretty grim picture, telling Hannah's family that, well, time is short, but they can't give like a concrete timeline,
Right.
which, as you can imagine, adds another layer of anguish to an already unbearable situation.
Absolutely. Yeah, that uncertainty, not knowing if you have hours, days, or even, weeks potentially. It's a heavy burden to carry, especially when it's coupled with the hurdle of traveling a significant distance.
Right. Because on top of everything else, getting from Hannah's location to Bismarck, North Dakota, it isn't simple. The limited flight options meant that she couldn't even start her journey until the next day.
Oh,
Can you imagine that feeling of helplessness?
I can't.
Knowing every second counts, but being unable to actually do anything about it.
It's a stark reminder of how sometimes circumstances are simply beyond our control.
Hmm.
And it speaks to the depth of the emotional turmoil that Hannah must have been going through. You're hit with that initial panic.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, the logistical constraints.
Exactly. So the next day, Hannah finally boards her Delta flight out of Dallas, desperate to get to her mom's bedside. But fate had other plans. A technical issue ends up delaying the flight, which puts her already tight connection in Minneapolis at risk.
Oh no, talk about adding insult to injury.
Right, so this is where the story takes a turn. Hannah, desperate for any solution, confides in a flight attendant, Eva Ortiz, about her situation. Now, Eva, being the amazing human she is, could have simply delivered the bad news about the automatic rebooking system, putting Hannah on a flight the next morning and then just moved on.
Right.
But she didn't.
That's where we start to see that ripple effect of kindness. Eva, recognizing the gravity of the situation, chooses to share in Hannah's distress. And that simple act of empathy, of acknowledging another person's pain, it sets the stage for what unfolds next.
And it's a moment that really highlights the human element
Yeah.
in what can often be a very impersonal and transactional experience, like air travel.
Yeah.
It would have been so easy for Eva to simply follow protocol.
Right.
But instead, she takes it a step further.
And that's the thing. We so often underestimate the power of those seemingly small gestures because for Hannah, in that moment of utter despair, Eva's empathy likely felt like a lifeline.
Absolutely. So, Eva, touched by Hannah's plight, decides to inform the pilot, Captain Kate Napolitano, about the situation. Now, this isn't standard procedure.
Right.
Pilots have a ton on their plate, especially when dealing with a delayed flight.
Absolutely.
You're right. Going outside the normal chain of command isn't typical in these situations.
Yeah.
Which makes you wonder, what prompted Captain Napolitano to take that extra step? Was it simply Eva's heartfelt plea, or was it something more? What do you think was going through his mind?
I'm genuinely curious, too. Whatever it was, it clearly resonated with him. Because he doesn't just passively listen. He takes action. He personally calls Delta dispatchers, essentially pleading with them to hold Hannah's connecting flight. Talk about going above and beyond.
I know. Think about the complexity of that decision. Dispatchers, they're responsible for coordinating countless flights. They're ensuring smooth operations for thousands of passengers. So to disrupt that flow, even for a compassionate reason, carries certain risks. Right, and that's what makes their decision to hold the flight so impactful. It really speaks volumes about the culture at Delta, a culture where empathy and compassion seem to override those rigid protocols.
It really challenges our assumptions about large corporations, doesn't it? We tend to view them as impersonal machines, focused solely on efficiency and profit. But this story suggests that even within those large systems, there's room for human connection to prevail.
And it wasn't just the pilot and the dispatchers. This act of kindness became a collective effort. The connecting flight's pilot, several other dispatchers, even a crew member traveling as a passenger on that flight, they all played a part in making this happen. The crew member even offered Hannah his seat at the front of the plane so she could get off quickly.
It's really remarkable how this one act of compassion triggered a chain reaction, inspiring others to go the extra mile. It's a beautiful illustration of how even in a fast-paced, often impersonal environment like an airport, human connection can still flourish.
And You can feel that connection in Hannah's account of what happened next. When her flight landed in Minneapolis, she was just overcome with emotion. She sprinted through the airport, tears streaming down her face. Later, she said that as she ran, she thought about how her mom would be running across the country for her too, that her mom would run over broken glass to be there for her and her brother.
It's such a powerful image, isn't it? It speaks to the depth of their bond and the urgency of the situation, but it also highlights how this act of kindness transcended the practical aspect of getting her to her destination quicker. It provided her with a glimmer of hope in the sense that even in the darkest of times, there's still good in the world.
Exactly. And that sense of support didn't end there.
Ah,
When she finally boarded her connecting flight, the new crew and passengers were aware of her situation and welcomed her with warm, supportive smiles. It's like everyone on that plane, in their own small way, was rallying around her, offering comfort and solidarity.
that sense of collective empathy can be incredibly powerful, especially when someone is feeling isolated and vulnerable. It reinforces that idea that we're not alone in our struggles, that even strangers are capable of great compassion.
So Hannah makes it to her mother's bedside and gets to spend one more precious day with her before she passes away. That time made possible by the kindness of those Delta employees became an invaluable gift.
It's a bittersweet ending. We're reminded that even the greatest acts of kindness can't always change the inevitable, but they can provide comfort and solace, allowing someone to say goodbye and cherish those final moments.
And it's also a reminder that sometimes the impact of our actions goes far beyond what we could ever imagine. Captain Napolitano later said that he rarely gets to see the positive results of acts like this. He described the experience as humbling and beautiful, seeing how something he did, something that probably felt routine to him, had such a profound impact on Hannah and her family.
It makes you think about all the unseen ways we might touch each other's lives, doesn't it? Those small acts of kindness, those moments where we choose to go above and beyond, might create ripples we never even see.
And Hannah's story didn't end there. She shared her experience in a TikTok video that went viral, racking up millions of views and thousands of comments. What's interesting is that so many people responded with similar stories of unexpected kindness while traveling, highlighting this universal desire to connect and support one another.
It's almost like Hannah's story gave people permission to share their own experiences, creating a sense of community and shared humanity. It suggests that these acts of kindness, while they might seem isolated, are actually more common than we realize. They're happening all around us, often unseen and unacknowledged.
Absolutely. And her story sparked a conversation about the power of empathy, especially in those often stressful and impersonal environments like airports.
It challenges us to reconsider our assumptions, doesn't it? We often focus on the negative aspects of travel, the delays, the crowds, the frustrations. But Hannah's experience reminds us that amidst all that, there's still room for genuine human connection.
It really is a powerful reminder.
Yeah.
So as we reflect on Hannah's journey, it's worth asking ourselves, what small acts of kindness can we offer in our own lives?
Yeah.
How can we cultivate that mindset of empathy and compassion in our daily interactions?
Those are important questions because ultimately it's those seemingly small choices, those moments where we choose kindness over indifference that can make a world of difference.
Yeah, it's a powerful reminder that we all have the potential to be that source of kindness for someone else. You never know what someone might be going through, and a small gesture can have a ripple effect far beyond what we can even imagine.
Absolutely. And it's not always about those grand gestures or heroic acts, you know. It's about those everyday moments where we choose empathy over indifference, where we take a moment to recognize the humanity in others.
Right, like simply offering a helping hand or a listening ear, or even just a kind word. It's recognizing that we're all interconnected, and that even the smallest acts of kindness can contribute to a more compassionate world.
Yeah, and think about the impact it has on the giver as well. You know, those acts of kindness, those moments where we extend ourselves to help others can be so incredibly rewarding. They foster a sense of purpose, connection, and well-being.
It's a reminder that we're not alone in this world, and we have the power to make a positive difference in the lives of others. So the next time you find yourself in a position to offer kindness, don't hesitate. You might just brighten someone's day. And who knows, you might even inspire them to pay it forward.
That's a beautiful thought to leave our listeners with. Hannah's story reminds us that even amidst chaos and uncertainty, human compassion can prevail. And it's a reminder that we all have that capacity to be a part of that positive change.
So keep your eyes open for those opportunities to make a difference, big or small. Because even the smallest act of kindness can have a ripple effect, creating a world that's just a little bit brighter and a little bit more humane. Thanks for joining us on this exploration of Hannah's journey. And until next time, remember the power of compassion.